Hello and welcome back to the Blues Focus podcast. Tonight I'm joined with Jamie and Zach with coming off the back of a very, very good performance. So lads, this is going to be a very interesting podcast to talk about how we got on last night and what the future of the club looks like after what was a bouncing atmosphere. But I'll come to you first, Jamie. Your thoughts after your bet didn't come right last night, unfortunately.
Listen, I was confident, but like we said on the pod as well, a point is a great result against this Burnley team. It was the hardest. It was always going to be the hardest test we had at St Andrews this season so far. They were class. You could see everything about them. In terms of my bet, I was devastated when they went 1-0 up, mainly because I had 750 quid sitting there if Dean had scored. He did go for a bicycle kick.
Oh
We all
my
saw
God.
it. It nearly went in. I nearly screamed. But we move, and it was a great performance. I'm chuffed to bits with how we played, the work rate especially.
Yeah, it was astonishing. Zach, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, completely agree. Thought such a good result against what is such a good Burnley side. You can tell the way they keep the ball and move it around. They're going to do, despite, I thought they were quite poor for their standards yesterday, but you can tell, you get little glimpses that they're going to have a very good season. But I mean, for us, yeah, a brilliant result. We've got such a tough run of games coming up, haven't we? I mean, we've got Blackburn, QPR, those. I think in the next 2 weeks, we play the top, 3 in the championship all in a row, which is just crazy, isn't it? But in terms of last night, just another good result. Again, I think that's 8 unbeaten now. Like, for us, that's just unbelievable, isn't it? So no, everyone on the pitch last night, just superb, wasn't it?
It's unbelievable for us with the team that we've got as well, and the situation we're in on financially and off the pitch as well. It was amazing. Yeah, I mean the atmosphere as well. I mean, what did you guys think to it?
Yeah, I thought it was great. Especially after the goal, because I remember Burnley's goal. The away fans in the top right corner were really giving it, weren't they? To the fans to their left, and then as soon as we scored, we did it back. So no, atmosphere last night was brilliant. It seemed a bit more. I actually didn't see the attendance, but it just seemed a bit more packed. It's nice to see as we're sort of building up results, a few more fans just coming through the gate, and just maybe St Andrews getting back to the way it was.
Is it the same for you, Jamie? What do you think's the atmosphere?
I thought the atmosphere was fantastic. You know what? I'll give Burnley some credit as well. They took a good away following. My God, did they they took some fans. My favourite moment of the game by far is when they took the lead and they started singing the top of the league, and then we scored 4 minutes later. And you just heard all the Blues fans going top of the league for 10 seconds.
Brilliant.
It's brilliant. Really good.
Was it 4 minutes they'd had the lead, or was it 6?
76
and 80,
I think
it was. Yeah, 6 minutes they had the lead, and normally if we'd go 1-0 down in a game, it's game over, wouldn't it? But under this Eustace team, we could have won it, to be fair. That 4 minutes at a time had a few chances. I think it was Hogan, wasn't it? Longolo played a ball into the box. He fizzed it, and Hogan inches away from it. Inches away. We could have won that game 2-1 easily.
They wanted that final whistle more than we wanted it. Put it that way, but it was 100%. And I know it's probably a later talking point, but you name me a manager in the last 5 years at Birmingham City who'd have the absolute bollocks to put Jutkiewicz at left wing, Troy Deeney at right wing, and it worked to an absolute treat.
Not even Monk could do that.
No. But no, he got
do that.
No, but again, good decisions. Like, just touching on it quickly, when I saw it was Jutkiewicz, or was it Job and George Hall that came on together? I can't quite remember. No, it was Duke and George Hall that came on. And you think to yourself, an 18-year-old is maybe still a little bit unproven or whatever, and a 33, 34-year-old striker, you think, are they the best changes? But it worked a treat, didn't it? Because that pass from George Hall into Hogan for the goal. And Deeney as well, the through ball from Deeney to George Hall on the right was beautiful, wasn't it?
And in a weird sort of way, Duke was involved with that goal too, because although he didn't have direct involvement, he's run off the back of the defence, sort of dragged and distracted them for a little bit. Hogan makes the inside run, and then it was a quality finish. I mean, what do you think to it? Yeah,
really nicely taken. It was he was having to stretch quite a bit, wasn't he? But you could just see, I love goals like that because you could just see the attackers running into the box. You could see the Burnley defenders sort of slightly behind Hogan. Everyone was screaming for that ball into the box for George Hall to reach Hogan, and it was a really nicely worked goal. And again, it's nice to see Deeney contributing, because I feel sort of at the start of the season he was very quiet, but recently he's just seems to be getting more involved in games.
Yeah.
But no, beautiful goal, wasn't it?
He's leveled up, hasn't he? We'll sort of have a bit of a rundown of the game. So I think we could talk about Burnley a little bit. I mean, they played well. I think they did. I feel like they controlled the game pretty well. But were they a little bit wasteful in front of goal in parts? What do you think, Jamie?
Wasteful, I wouldn't say. I'd say they came close once or twice. I think every team at the minute, Company said it himself, we knew this was going to be an ugly game to play against us. So we are not a nice team to play against. You know, that back three are solid as a rock usually. They were a little shaky at times last night, but I think Burnley just knew they were in for a tough day at the office. And I think, you know, they tried and they huffed and they puffed with the ball, and you could see that Premier League class with the ball. But,
yeah,
you know, getting in front of goal, their main threat for me wasn't Rodriguez, it was Tello. You know, that little Brazilian guy.
Yeah, the striker. I think is it the striker, the lad who's got like 4 or 5 goals this season so far? I'm not sure. He is quick, isn't he? He looked. I think if there was going to be a goal last night, it was going to come through him, wasn't it? On the ball, he certainly looked like a very good player, and obviously, if he's bagged 4 or 5 for Burnley this season already, yeah, I agree though. I don't necessarily think. I think I expected more from Burnley. I think because they're such a possession-based team, they're so. I think I said this. They're so patient. They're waiting for the perfect opportunity to break through. Like, you'll often see different teams just shoot from 20, 25 yards. You're not going to get that from that Burnley team. They're constantly waiting for that perfect pass through our defence. I think they had 70% possession last night, and they're like they've kept the most possession in the 92, I think, out of all the teams. So they probably could have created more chances. I feel there was one too many passes in there from them at times. I mean, Rodriguez hit the post, 20th minute or something. In the first few minutes, they did have 1 or 2 opportunities. So I'd say a few chances were a little bit wasteful. Potentially, they could have done better. But I'm just surprised that, you know, we've seen this Burnley team in the past just lump the ball forward, haven't we, to the big striker. But now it's tick-attack of football.
I said at half-time, I was like, this feels like we're Sean Dyche in Burnley. We are shit house in Burnley. And it felt great.
Yeah, it was almost jarring at times to see like a team in claret and blue playing pretty decent football. I mean, I'm always used to seeing them throw themselves into footballers and then roll around on the floor like they've just been shot. Grealish. Oh God, developing a bit of a cough.
Oh, brilliant! I love that. One thing I love Clifton Bell for is that challenge on Grealish early on. I think it was the last time he played him, wasn't it?
Fucking brilliant, honestly.
That set the tone for the derby, didn't it? Oh, I love Clifton Bell.
It was literally like, it weren't even a minute in, was it? He just full sent for him,
snapped him.
Let him know you're there.
He had no intentions of going for the ball. Zero. Just.
Do you want to know? Do you want to know something a little creepy, but in the context of things, it probably wasn't. My science teacher in high school was a Villa fan, which God knows how, because I live up in the north. So how the hell that's even a coincidence, I've no idea. But I had him pretty much all through my science years. And I think it was in the week of that derby game, I finished a test early and I decided to flip over the test and do a little drawing on the back, and it is literally Michael Clifton-Bell taking out Jack Grealish, and he'll be able to back me up on that because I still think he has it. But honestly, it was like absolutely identical to it. I wish I had it still, because it was like so perfect. It was like, oh, honestly, it's like I predicted the future. If I'd have predicted the fact that we're going to lose 1-0 as well, I might as well not have done this.
I know.
A week to get over that, dude.
That Clifton Bell challenge, it's just brilliant, weren't it? Brilliant.
It's nice having a team that we feel like does that kind of stuff again now as well.
Yeah, like with players like Hannibal and those type of players. I was just
going to say, special mention to him. Oh God, he's a ball of energy, that kid, and he's skillful. He's his feet are just unreal. Like,
I love him. Falling in love with him, I think. You can't fall in love with a lone player.
Yeah, I was about to say that, yeah.
When he was geeing up the crowd as well before a corner and everyone's going like, I love him. He's everywhere as well, isn't he? We've had players that are everywhere in the past, probably the likes of Clifton Beld and those sort of players, but Hannibal's just a step up from that. He's everywhere,
Absolutely.
but he does everything so well, doesn't he? You're always worried he's going to pick up a yellow or make a horrendous challenge at some point, but his passion and want to win, just how he gets involved, and like you said, Jamie, his ability on the ball for what is a holding midfielder. Oh, he's superb. Honestly, superb.
It's surprising, isn't it? Because typically players like who are so reckless like yourself, you know, they're not the best footballers. You know, prime example, Ivan Sunjic. You know, got all the ability, got all the ones, but none of the ability. So it's nice and refreshing to see someone who comes into the team and goes, who's got the attitude and he's got the ability as well. And that's why Man United definitely got him in there. I think that's why they're trying to make a player out of him. And I feel like coming to us does that for him. He was fantastic, wasn't he? Any other standout players that come to mind, Zach, from last night?
I thought Colin was good last night. Really solid performance from Colin. To be fair, the whole back line again, although we conceded, you know, our defence recently has just been from John Ruddy to the fullbacks to the centre halves. Honestly, phenomenal. Like a team like Burnley, they should be peppering us all game, but we're just not. There's no team that's just threatening us really at the moment. Like I said, 8 games unbeaten. We haven't conceded too many goals in that time. I think defensively against such a strong side, it was the whole back line, another brilliant performance.
100%, yeah. What do you make to that, Jamie?
Agree. I can't signal out a player who had a bad game, if I'm honest. Like, you know, I had a family sat behind me last night, and at one point in the 60th minute, they turned around and they went, Felix been fucking shit. And I took every ounce of my like energy and not turn around and go, what fucking game are you watching? What?
Were they Burnley fans? What were they watching?
They were literally Burnley, Felix been shit. And I was like, what?
Yeah, it's one of those double takes. You have to go, wait, what? Hang on a minute, what did you just say?
You really just said that's nuts. That's nuts. Again, he was solid last night, though, wasn't he? It's nice having. I think it was a good decision from Eustace in the end, because as good as Bakuna was on the weekend against such an attacking side, it's nice to have those 2 defensive midfielders in the middle,
completely agree,
just to shut out so much more opportunities from them. Again, it was nice to see Bakuna come on. He definitely deserved it, and again looked good. But starting with those 2 defensive midfielders, I think 100% the right call.
Oh god, yeah.
It was that midfield was remind me of it. I can't remember now. It was
Bielik, Hannibal Chong.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, like, and we're talking of Bielik, the opportunity that he had when he comes to the edge of the box and just absolutely smashed this. I mean,
wow.
I've talked about this before, right? And I need your hypothetical scenario of what would have happened if that had gone in. I know. Zach, we'll come to you first. The funnier answer.
I said to you before the podcast, I would have cried tears of joy. It would have been incredible. The way he connects with it, it's like, the thing is that could go so wrong as well, because you've got to wait the pass perfectly from the corner. You've then got to strike the ball perfectly. And it only looked a few yards away from the top corner, didn't it? So unbelievable. And I said at the time as well, it's so nice to have a team that's confident enough to do that, because you often see the top teams try these sort of things because they can afford to do it. With a team like us in the past, if we get an opportunity, it's precious, so we've got to make the most of it. We can't do anything like that. But it's nice to see that confidence to go for things like that,
100%,
and just try something different. But if that went in, oh my god, it would have been the best goal I've ever seen Blues score ever, no doubt.
I don't know, actually. Maybe.
No doubt that would have been incredible. I
feel like I've seen one that's just as good. Maybe, I don't know. I can't work it out now.
I can't think of one I've seen in recent years that's been just as good.
Yeah, not for a long time, that's for sure.
No,
yeah.
not
in the flesh. Definitely
not since we've been in the Championship, I wouldn't say. But I'm trying to think of goals prior to that.
I'll always recall Cameron Jones' 40-yarder at Anfield.
Oh yeah. I watched that game on my Nintendo Wii. That's how old that game is, honestly.
Wow.
I fucking
Wow.
not even joking you. We had a website link, and it took us to watching the game. It was in 144p, which is like the lowest of low standard definition. And watching the goal go in was like in pixels, but we could sort of vaguely hear the commentary because we were broke at the time, so we couldn't afford to play for Sky or whatever. So we just like literally watching that goal go in like that. It's just like amazing.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. But that could be a contender then. Aside from that, I certainly can't think of any that would have been better than
that. Jamie, what would you have done if I'd got? Well, actually, both scenarios. If Bielik had scored that goal, and if Harley Dean scored that overhead kick as well.
So I was sat, obviously where I'm sat is the stand not next to the away fans, but the other side in the corner. So I was pretty much had the perfect angle to see. And lads, when I tell you, Bielik's shot was an inch, and I mean an inch from the post. Like it was swerving into the goal as well. Like he hit that. Oh, he hit that perfect. Like I think I would have just broke down into tears probably and just gone mad. Like I think
very emotional.
I think I just don't know how do you react to a goal like that? You would have just gone mental, wouldn't you? Like I think there might have been a pitch invasion.
It may be.
100%. 100%.
Would have been a pitch. You know, Vincent Company probably just run on himself and just go, "What's just happened?" Like
I think I would have. I mean, this is never going to happen, but I would have ran down this aisle, jumped onto the pitch, jumped onto the back of Christian Bielik, and then just ran down the tunnel and called the game off there. Just like the game's over. There, you can't come back from that. Honestly,
we deserve the league for that. No. A goal like that deserved the league. To tell you what, though, if he'd scored that, Derby County even want him back even more, wouldn't they? So maybe it's a small blessing in disguise that he hasn't scored one of the best goals in Birmingham City history. So. Jesus, who knows? Man. Who knows?
He's gonna get one soon. I'm telling you, boys. He's getting closer and closer by the game. He is.
Yeah, he is. It's gonna happen.
He's building. He's building it. And if Harley had scored that over a kick, I can't get it out of my head. I literally just remember watching it bounce in the box and just seeing Harley perform like some overhead, and I was like, "Is it?
If he'd have scored that one again, going back to our scenarios, he'd have scored that one. Jamie would have pulled his top off and started lassoing it round his head, running onto the pitch and acting all crazy. And Harley Dean would have just gone.
Started shrugging. Yeah, he would have done. So remind me, that would have been. So you put it on Harley Dean to score and Blues to win 1-0. And that would have been
1. And I put a fiver on.
How much is that? If you'd have
it would have been
that?
750, and then I would have got the 5. 755 I would have got back.
Fucking hell.
Wow. That wouldn't have been bad, would it?
We should have like a little segment of this podcast just called like Jamie Bets, and then just sort of like, what's his bet this week?
What's he betting on this week? One's got to come in one day, hasn't it?
Don't know.
Bielik 1-0 bicycle kick or volley or whatever against Blackburn at the weekend.
I've had my fair share of close hackers that have broke my heart, boys. I can't fall into this trap. I once lost. I put a fiver on once and would have got £1,500, and I lost. On one result, which was Arsenal drew 0-0 with Southampton at the Emirates, and it was the season they got Ozil.
Yeah, fucking hell, that's devastating. That is, I can feel your pain already.
But
there's a great clip on Twitter. It's from like a couple of months ago now. But I think they're Aussies. I think they're from Australia, and they're at some horse racing events, and they're all gathering around this phone on somebody's phone that they've been. Looking at his account, and it's got like 200 quid in it, but then there's like they're all crowding around him and screaming refresh, and he does finally do it, and it like takes about a couple of seconds, pops up 23 grand. He won on horse betting.
God, imagine.
It's amazing. They're all like crying and hands in the air and everything.
That's brilliant. Imagine a bet like that. I tell you what, I've given up with the old bets because I was scrolling through my Paddy Power account the other day, and I don't think I've won since April. And I thought, okay, if I haven't won since April, I'm probably going to call it a day because I am horrific at it. Horrific. Yeah. So, bets are done for me, I think.
Yeah, I've never done any betting before, but
Don't do
it. No, I'm not going to. No way.
Pissing money up the wall.
You've pissed it all up the wall.
Yeah, no point.
God. Right, let's get back to football because we're too busy talking about betting. We're 14th in the table currently, 20 points This is mostly from your I took this bit from your reaction video, Zach. Which well done on that. I thought that was very good. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
20 points, 6 points from the relegation zone, 4 off the playoffs. Which way are we going on Saturday? Are we going up the table or are we going down the table?
Oh, it's tricky, isn't it? I think we said last podcast that Burnley is the biggest test so far this season. I now think Blackburn away is a bigger test than that. They're top of the league. Away from home makes things tricky. I think yesterday I would have been disappointed, to be fair, with the form we're on if we hadn't gotten at least a point.
Yeah.
Because I think at home, the way we're playing 100%, anything we get on Saturday is a complete bonus for me, because genuinely I expect to come away with nothing, because they are on it. I think Blackburn, the way they're playing at the moment, some of the players they got on the pitch, I mean, Brereton, Diaz, all that sort of stuff, they are quality. I
just
think
remembered them.
They are a step up from Burnley, in my opinion. So I can't see us picking up anything this weekend. I want to be optimistic. You know, against Burnley, the closer it got, the more optimistic I got. So the same might happen again this week. But for me, I can't see us picking up anything against Burnley, to be honest.
I'm just looking at the Blackburn team and I'm just like trying not to cry. Like
Quality.
Brereton, Diaz, Bradley fucking Dack.
Sam
Gallagher's there.
about him.
Sam Gallagher, yeah.
Watch Sam Gallagher bury one past us now, like just be crying and fuming.
He's been there for a while now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He couldn't hit a cow's arse with us. He was absolutely woeful. But he's been great since he's gone back. Well, he better at least. I don't know, but I'm not a Blackburn fan, of course.
But no, they've certainly got a good team. It's going to be a really, really tricky game. I think it could be a 1-2-0 Blackburn. I don't think we're not going to concede loads of goals, because that's not the type of team we are at the moment. But I certainly can't see us winning the game, so I'd go a 1-2-0 Blackburn maybe.
What's their defense like?
Let's have a look. Because I'm not too sure, you know.
I know that they don't have like the biggest names players in the division, that's for sure.
No, I think because Bradley Dack's quite recently come back from injury, hasn't he?
There's no reason we can't re-snap that injury into place.
Get Hannibal on him.
Hannibal, you got one job left.
Right, lads, we're gonna have to play this game with 10 men. That's the idea, right? Bradley Dack, Hannibal, you get him.
And then when you get yellow, Diaz next.
Yeah.
I don't recognise many of these names, you know, guys. I don't recognise many. Daniel Ayala, I recognise. Borough, maybe.
Don't know. Yeah, he did. Yeah, we were interested in when Karanka was manager.
Yeah. Callum Britton, ex-Barnsley, I think. Recognise him.
Right.
But Lewis Travis, Hayden Carter, Dominic Hiam, I don't recognise too many of them, to be fair. Wonder who they've got in goal these days. I mean, to be fair, I think it's almost irrelevant, because I've watched a few like highlights, and some of the goals they score through Brereton Diaz, and the way Bradley Dack links up with him is quality. And Sam Gallagher, I think for Blackburn, he's been doing all right. I don't know if he starts. I'm trying to think who else they play up top.
They used to have Adam Armstrong, didn't they? So that's relief he's not there.
Absolutely, but certainly going forward, they've got a very good team. So yeah, it's going to be very tough for us on the weekend.
I'd take a point right now. I'd happily walk away. But in typical Blues fashion, we could always win 1-0. And just let's be honest, the Burnley game, I'm going to go back to it. Our one major mistake in that game gave them their goal.
Yeah.
We frustrated a very good team last night.
No, I completely agree. Longelo was. It's disappointing for Longelo to concede something like that, because obviously he's done very well, and I mean he created an amazing chance in the first half. He Bergkamp flipped two players, put it in the box, and then Deeney rolls it into Colin, and we just that would have been goal of the season. That
100%. He looked good last night though. I thought, except for the goal, which is just miscontrol, slip, whatever you want to call it. It's just unfortunate, to be honest. But again, he looked good last night. Going forward, he looked brilliant. You're right, Tommy. Those two flicks first half and the ball he put into the box, that was unreal. But as far as a left wing back goes, he's a solid option. And again, I thought last night he was really good.
Mm. So score predictions then. Let's have a quick score prediction for that, and then we can talk a little bit more about the game. Jamie, lock and load.
1-0 Blues, Harley didn't. 1-1.
Imagine.
1-1, I don't see many teams beating us. I just think if Blackburn score early, we're in for a long day at the office. But I think if we can do what we did against Burnley and hold them off and restrict them and, make teams worry about us on the counter-attack. Eustace seems to have gone. We seem to have a manager now that instead of worrying about what the other team's got, which is we do a little bit, teams fear what we can do more now.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see.
100% agree. I think in the past, we've always adapted the way we play dependent on how the opposition play. We've always, whatever their strengths are, we've set up around that. But now we're sort of starting to build a bit of our own identity and just a bit of a play style in terms of having very attacking wing backs, yet still holding a formation, like a defensive formation. It's really nice to see us not just coming into a game and thinking this is how this team plays, so this is how we should set up. It's nice to see us, okay, this is how we play, and we're going to bring the game to them. It's amazing to see.
Yeah, it's a bit of confidence for the team, that is, isn't it? Then
for sure.
It's
sorry, I was just going to say, in terms of a result this weekend, like I said, yeah, I could see 1-2-0 Blackburn, to be honest.
See, I want to say that we can win, but there again, I haven't seen much of Blackburn this season. That's the thing. So I feel like I think I'm going to go with Jamie, actually. I think 1-1, because I can't see us conceding that many, which I think we've all sort of agreed with, the fact that we won't get beat like we did 4-0 last season, which was right pain. That was because it was freezing cold. I had to scan my flipping COVID pass, which I wasn't particularly happy in doing, as well as the fact that we then got thumped 4-0. It was just it was mental, that game.
That was when Bowyer playing? He played a bunch of youngsters that game, didn't he? Completely changed the team. Was that game?
I think so. It was. I can't really remember. Anike started. That's for one.
Yeah, I think
so. He started our best striker at least.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's one for the record books. Anike, our best striker on the pitch. Oh man.
No. But yeah, that game I do remember it, because I remember, I think it was when Bowyer came in. It was our last 10 games. I think that was the second to last game of the season or something.
No,
he secured us safety, hadn't he?
What, the Blackburn at home or away game?
The away one, I think I'm thinking.
No, away was in December last season.
Oh, was it?
And the Blackburn at home game was the last game of the season.
What game am I thinking? There was one game where Bowyer just completely changed the team and made it really, really full of youngsters and a really big team.
It might have been a couple of
season.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a couple of games before the Blackpool game.
Yeah, maybe you're right then.
Somewhere
maybe you're right.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad those days are over, to be quite honest. Even though I love Bowyer, it was painful to watch in the end. And it was like, with Eustace, we've kind of got a bit of a clean slate, really, because he is a Birmingham lad. I don't know how much of a Blues fan he is. He says he said that in the interview last night. He said he watched the Blues from 12 to 16. And I'm not too frustrated. I'm not upset if he's not a Blues fan, because obviously we've had managers before who aren't Blues fans. So I think it's kind of good that we've got somebody who at least has like a bit of a understanding. It was the same with Bowyer, but also has like a really, really solid coaching career as well. All the things he's done with QPR, and he's got his understanding with the team, and he's not afraid to use the youngsters. He's proven himself to be a championship manager, which is what he's doing this season.
Yeah, 100%. And it's nice he's doing it, given the amount of doubt he had when he was coming in.
100%,
I think we saw that appointment, and I remember just seeing the comments underneath it. Oh, we're going down, write the season off, start fresh in League One next season. But he's coming and he's doing such a fantastic job, and the way he's setting up the team, and is like, I keep saying the word adaptability, but I genuinely mean it, because we haven't seen it, I don't think, since forever. Since we've gone into the Championship, I don't think we've seen a manager like it. So it's just brilliant to see him doing so well, given the sort of doubt or the sort of worry Blues fans had when he first came in the season.
Yeah, I think aside from Monk and Houghton, I think he's in that top three bracket. I think, or maybe Rowett as well. But we've been in a long period of time now where we haven't had football that's been this entertaining to watch. We've been really exciting these past few games.
Yeah, it no longer feels like a chore to watch Blues, does it? I remember last
Yeah.
season, Blues would be playing or whatever, and I'd be like, I really, really don't want to go or don't want to watch it on TV. But now I'm like excited for the next game and can't wait for one. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Last few comments, anything to sort of mention? Actually, maybe QPR, Jamie. What do you think to that? We've got that afterwards on Friday nights.
Who are currently top of the league? Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's good, isn't it? Like, just thanks to the FL. I don't know. Like, let's see how we get on at Blackburn, but you just kind of hope October. This month was always going to be the hardest month for us coming up.
100%.
Like, so many games. We'll just see. You know what I mean? Like in typical Blues fashion, we could always win or we could lose both. So, I think we've got a good chance. I do. I don't think QPR will stay up where they are.
No, I don't think so. I think they will fall away. I don't know what I don't know what that top three is going to look like.
No, it's tricky. I think that's why the Championship's the best division in the world, because it's just so topsy turvy. Anyone could be anywhere. I think QPR are quite a hit and miss team. I think they'll have one really good result one week. I mean, they've been a bit more consistent recently, but they'll have one really good result and then quite a poor result out of nowhere. QPR will be another tough challenge. I think the important thing is if we can go into the World Cup period being around where we are at the moment, I think that's the big thing, setting us up really well before the break. Because if we have a dip now or a drop in form and we're going into the World Cup 19th, 20th, because I mean, I like to never get too far ahead of myself. We're doing brilliant at the moment, but football changes very, very quickly. It only takes 2 or 3 sort of mediocre to poor results, and we're right back down there. So if we can just keep a steady flow of decent results coming in and head into the World Cup in a good position, 13th, 14th, whatever, I think that's our longer term aim at the moment.
Yeah.
Building.
100%. I think building's a good way to sort of summarize that sort of where we are at the moment. Which hopefully building can also relate to fixing those freaking stands.
We look like a joke, though. My mate Max said to me yesterday, he went, the issue is, the fans are up for it, but we just look like a dick to any away fan who walks in. Burnley gets in it last night. Your ground's too big for you, and we're all just like, oh,
I know. I know, and it's the painful clips you see afterwards as well of fans commenting below, like, "Oh, your stadium's half empty." Well, half of it's closed. That's why it's half empty. It's. I think they said they'd be up for the new season, didn't they? Next season. I think they said that anyway.
Since COVID started, I've been hearing about these grounds getting fixed. So until I see it happen, I'm not really.
Yeah, very
just
true.
Want it
very
done.
True.
My final point I wanted to put to you boys is obviously George Hall, incredible off the bench, gave us the assist. Played well. Does he start?
Go on, Tommy. What are your thoughts?
Yes, I think he does.
Oh,
because we'll throw a curveball at them. I think that's the thing. They're expecting us to start with Chong, Bakuna, and Hannibal, maybe and Bielik as well. But I feel like if we maybe drop Chong, let Bakuna start, and then put Bielik behind him, and then keep both Chong and Hannibal off the bench. They'll come on after both of them have gone into Aberdeen. Both of them have run their course. Bielik will stay on, and then George Hall will have got them sort of can't spit my words out, but he would have got them nervous in the first half and got them at them. I think it's good for him to start a game as well. He hasn't started a game for a while, so getting prepared and out on the pitch and then getting the kickoff ready and everything. I feel like it will get him sort of sharp and in the mode of being a professional footballer in that environment of starting every game almost. So I think pro curveball at it, see what it's like. Yeah.
Throw back out, win back.
Yeah, fucking why not?
Yeah, I think that's. I don't know. I think for me, I think George Hall looks a more impactful player off the bench than he does starting at the moment. I feel, he's still very young, so he's still got a lot of learning to do, and I think in sometimes when he plays the full 70, 80, 90 minutes, whatever, he can go a bit quiet for period. I mean, other players can as well, of course, but I think at the moment, I think for me, Chong would be the more impactful player in behind the strikers and George Hall. And I think it's nice to have that player off the bench. I mean, imagine being 18 years old like last night and coming on and thinking, God, one goal and I could win this and just, set my career. Do you know what I mean? So I think for me, I'd stick with pretty much the team we put out last night. Maybe the odd change because October's a heavy month in it. There's so many fixtures, so we do need to rotate players as and when we can. Because the last thing we want is injuries. But for me, I think I'd probably stick with Chong in behind the strikers.
So I mean, like, I'm no problem with the middle. My issue is obviously with the strikers, like Troy especially. Can Troy handle 270 minutes in 7 days?
Yeah, good shout. Potentially not. Potentially not. I mean, I thought he was good last night.
He was class,
and it's nice to have that leader on the pitch, isn't it? But he's 32 years old, and his fitness and stamina isn't what it used to be, is it? So maybe Chong up front, George Hall in behind the strikers. That could be a good option. To be fair, that would be a fairly pacey front three, wouldn't it? So that could be a good shout. To be fair,
Jamie, let's give us your starting 11. What do you think?
I think you go with the same back five, including Ruddy, so 6 of them. So you go Ruddy, Colin, Sanderson, Harley, Trusty, Longello. Bielik has to start. Hannibal, if he can perform like that, he has to. I think Chong looked a little bit tired towards him coming off yesterday. He also was on a yellow. So I don't know. Do you do what you did against Bristol, though, and do you drop Troy? Because I don't know if Troy's going to be able to, bring him on for an impact and start Chong up front. So I'd maybe go Hall, Hannibal, Bielik, Chong, Hogan.
So you're going for Hall as well?
I think so, just on the basis that I don't know how Dean is going to hold up that many games in that short space of time. And him off the bench gives you something different to think about.
Yeah, it's true. That is, yeah.
The new winger for us that we've learned from last night.
I mean, he was interested in playing at right wing last night. It was kind of like Gardner's played at right mid for for a bit last season. I mean, it does throw a curveball, doesn't it? I mean, I've mentioned that word twice now. That's ridiculous. But it's something to think about, isn't it? It's obviously because you used to have been playing up front all game, up with your big tough defenders who were really like 6'5" and built like a brick shithouse. But then you come up against your smaller, more agile left backs and right backs. It does cause problems for them. So it's something definitely to think about. Maybe playing him at right wing.
Let's throw some step overs.
Definitely not Duke at left wing though. He's just done. It's so sad.
I love Duke, but he is the slowest footballer I've ever seen in my life. Duke at left wing. Oh, God. That would be tragic. I won't lie, tragic.
He did. He had a chance towards the end, didn't he? Where he was he couldn't get his feet sorted out, could he?
No, scrappy, wasn't it? Scrappy. I love Duke. I think, and I've said it for so long. I think Jutkiewicz is one of the best headers I've seen of the ball in the wider, not just the Championship, not just Blues, like in wider football. He's unbelievable at it, and he's been around for so long. He's a legend for me. I love Duke, but I think off the bench at the moment he's not the most in. I get why Eustace brings him on 5 minutes. If we need to defend corners, he's there. If we win a corner, could get his head on it. He holds up the ball well.
It's all aerial threat, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. But it's sad to see him getting on and slowing down quite a bit. But
you could see Burnley's defence though. They got used to defending Troy for the headers, and then Jutkiewicz comes on. They were just like, "Oh fuck!" Right? Yeah. Every time that ball went to Jutkiewicz, he won it, I think, in the air, and they were just not enjoying that. Longello was running off him, and it was just like, "Oh yeah, I like."
What's your favourite Lukas Jutkiewicz goal?
What a question.
I've got one in mind, but I'll let you two answer first.
No, go on. You go, Tommy. Okay. I want to think about this.
My favourite ever Duke goal is the one he scores against Sheffield Wednesday in the Monk season, because it's 1-1. It's really close. I think they just had a chance at the other end. And Jota, is it Jota or is it? No, it's Jota. He gets down that right hand side and he lifts it into the back post. And then literally, I can't remember exactly what I said, but it sort of went with the goal at the time. And he literally, as you see him, jump above the player and get over the top of him and head it down into the ground between the keeper's legs and in. I mean, that was just like fantastic. That goal
was that when we was that under? Did you say that was under Monk?
Yeah.
I was thinking of the game when we beat Sheffield Wednesday, and I remember Monk was Sheffield Wednesday manager and Clotet was our manager, and I remember that being brilliant because just Clotet. I think Monk I can't remember. I think their relationship had gone a bit sour for whatever reason. I just remember Clotet having the biggest smile on his face after that game. But that was brilliant. Favorite Duke goal. You know what? There's probably so many. I can't really think of a clear one now. One I did like though, I remember it because I think it was Bristol City. I think we were like 2-0 up. Yeah, I think we were like 2-0 up. Lee Camp absolutely pelts it forward from a goal kick. Duke brings it down and just finishes it really nicely. And I think I like that one, not because it was an important goal, but we'd won 3-0. We were having a poor season away from home. I love games under the lights, and it was one of those. I think that's got to be up there as one of my favorite.
He loved the keeper, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Just he did.
A
little dink.
Yeah, he did.
That was the goal I was going to say.
Yeah, and it was on Sky Sports as well. So I remember a few mates who, don't really. I've got mates who support Man U, Man City, all the big teams. So it's nice to have your team play on Sky. I have a few mates watching it as well, and just get a few messages saying, "Oh, that was a good win. That was." So I think that's one of my favorite Duke goals.
Oh, I suppose one I've got as well is, I know we didn't win the game, but taking the lead at Villa Park.
Oh my God, how did I forget about that?
Amazing.
That was just up there, like.
That goal.
How have we forgotten that one? That was amazing. That was brilliant.
I watched that game at home, obviously because I couldn't get tickets, which really annoyed me actually. I remember us getting on the phone, see if we could get like some last minute ones. We still couldn't. But I literally, when that goal went in, because we had a chance that was pretty similar before, Mahoney swings it in with his left foot and then it goes towards the back post. And there's no one there at first time. But then when he does the second corner, he swings it in and he scores. I jumped so high, I hit my head off the ceiling. Literally, I think I pushed myself off the table a little bit. But I jumped like that, just like celebrating, screaming my fucking lungs out. And it bunked my head off the top of the ceiling. It was just like, oh my God, I was so happy. Because it was the first time. It was the first time we'd scored at Villa Park since 2004, I want to say.
Wow.
2005. It took us years to score there. Honestly, even in the games that we played them in the Championship, we lost to them 1-0 at the first one there, then 2-0, and then 4-2, which we shouldn't have lost that game. I'm still absolutely furious about that.
Yeah, I remember the fourth goal. I remember being fuming at it because I think it was Craig Gardner. Who do you remember who scored Villa's fourth? It was that
Alan fucking Hutton.
Yeah, Alan
I haven't heard the end of that.
Harry Hill himself.
I remember being fuming at that goal because I think Craig Gardner just let him run from like the halfway line to the edge of our box, and I was gutted. But even the Pedersen goal that day, actually, I really enjoyed that one as well because was that to me? I think Pedersen's goal was to make it 3-2, was it? Yeah. And it just gave us a little bit of hope, like a point at Villa Park.
The thing is as well, like Che Adams, and this pains me to say it, but I think his bogey team is the Villa because the Southampton played them a couple of weeks ago, or it might have been pretty recently, but they lost 1-0 there as well, and Adams was just not in the game. And literally, he hit the post in that game at Villa Park, and then he had a chance in the second half to have possibly made it 3-3, which just thinking about that scoreline would have been mad. But then in the game at home, like Tyrone Mings just had him in his back pocket the whole time, and that infuriates me to say because I hate Tyrone Mings.
All right, he played well against Chelsea though.
He was quality against Chelsea. That header.
I love the edits as well. People did of him just standing there, and they put him in different scenarios.
My favourite one at the moment is the Liz Truss one. Liz Truss one where she does the little curtsy and it's like the head off it, and then it cuts to the Mason Mount goal.
Brilliant.
Oh man, have you ever? Just a quick question: have you ever been at a game where we've beat the Villa before?
No.
No,
I started going to the Blues quite late in my life. I was about 13, 14, 12, 13, 14. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I'll tell you how long ago it was. My first proper Blues game that I remember when I was old enough was when we drew 0-0 with Chelsea at St Andrews and Christian Benitez scored and he was offside,
Yes,
but he was on.
I remember that game, and that infuriated me because it was a really weird game. We'd played at we swapped ends, and Benitez scores. It's offside. It wasn't offside, which is just even now it still annoys me a little bit. And Alex for them hit a free kick and it smashed off the crossbar. Like literally, it hit it so hard it was like rattling for a good 5 seconds afterwards. Like proper as well. Like it was an incredible strike. And we could have won that game as well. And Joe Hart was fantastic that game too.
Oh, what a guy he was.
Quality. That was New Year's Day. No, that was No, it was sometime in December or January.
It was a Christmas fixture because I remember it being cold as bollocks.
It was really cold that day. Yeah. What about you,
Sam?
Zach?
No, I'm like you, Jamie. I didn't start following the Blues till quite late. I always liked football, but I didn't start supporting Blues till 2014. I don't think it was. So the last 8 years I've followed them. I've never been to a second city derby, so I'd love us to get them in the cup or something, or just anything to play Villa again because I'd love to go to one of those. But no, like yourself, I was quite late to things really. So
I have seen us beat Villa
in the Carling Cup.
Yeah, in the cup run.
Yeah. That's mine.
See, I'm gutted. My dad's been a Blues fan all his life, and I remember watching the Villa, West Ham, and obviously Arsenal game on TV. But obviously, I was a football fan, but not like a Blues fan back then, so I didn't really get to experience. Like, if that happened now, I'd lose my mind. But back then, I wish I properly supported Blues back then. But there you go. We'll have to do it again this year in the FA Cup or something.
I will never forget watching Zigic hit that ball off the floor and just watching Friedel in the air like, no.
It took forever to go in, honestly.
I know. Everyone was like, because we're the other side, we're in the Gilmerick, so we were looking
really?
Like, Has that got it? Fuck, it's gone in.
Yeah, honestly, it was insane. Honestly, that whole night was mad as well because that was another Christmas type fixture. It was absolutely freezing. And it was like, there was loads of police around and everything. We were sat in the main stand, which is where we sat at the time. We had season tickets there. And like Larson, when he scored, was like, because everybody was stood up, I was trying to stand up on the seats as well. But all the people in front of me were really tall, so I didn't actually see the goal go in. So that was a little bit annoying. I would have been 7 years old. So yeah, and then that Zigic goal when it went in was just fucking brilliant. It took forever to go in still, but
you guys are making me so jealous. You experience that and you're at those games and everything. Oh, I wish.
The thing was though, because I've seen Blues Villa games before. I remember watching the 5-1 on telly, which was that was just awful. That game was, but that was the first game I'd ever seen us beat Villa. But literally, because I was only young at the time as well, when all the fans start running on the pitch and the flares go out, the celebration sort of wore off because it was like, oh, this is a bit scary now. And my brother was 3 at the time, maybe. So bringing a 3-year-old to a game where it's all kicking off on the pitch, it's like, right, we're going to get going now. So that was very interesting.
I think.
So what was your first game then, Zach?
I was about to say, although I didn't properly support I didn't follow Blues till 2014. I had been to a few games prior. My very first one, you might remember. You probably won't because it was such a boring game. But I think it was 2011 0-0 against Wigan.
I remember that because that was the commemoration of going a year unbeaten, wasn't it?
Was it?
Made it fortunate St Andrews. Yeah, so we were looking to stay up, and we started Cameron Jerome up front in his own the 4-5-1, didn't we?
Yes, you're right. So there was that one, and I think I went to one other that season. I went to it was Blues Man United, and I think it was 1-1. I think
Bowyer scored.
Was it Bowyer in the last minute?
Berbatov scored for them, and then Bowyer got the equaliser. Yeah.
So those are my only sort of memories of an older version of Blues. So, but yeah,
that when we had a full stadium.
Yeah, a full stadium as well was amazing. But to experience that cup run, I'd give anything to go back and be a proper Blues fan. I really would.
I saw all of them from the Brentford game. I went to that Brentford night game. Kevin Phillips scored right in front of us, down at the front, and we won on penalties. Then it was the Villa game. Then it was the West Ham at home one, which I went to. I didn't go see a away game. And then obviously the final, which we went to. right up in the gods. I had vertigo as soon as I stood out of the onto the fucking what's it called, the stadium. How did I not forget what that word is? But yeah, as soon as I got in, like, and looked out onto the pitch, I was just like so lightheaded. I had to sit down for a good 5 minutes and close my eyes. But then, obviously, got fine after that.
You're gonna hate me.
What?
I was row 10 in Wembley. I was literally eye to eye with Martins when he tapped it into the net centre of the goal.
Wow.
That
Eye
was
to eye
honestly
level, like.
I didn't celebrate that goal properly because it was like the biggest shock I'd ever witnessed in my life. I went light because I was watching it through two people. I wasn't stood on the chair. And it was like towards the end of the game, I thought, right, this is extra time now. And I'm watching it. I can literally remember seeing it through like the legs of two people. And I can remember Chesney and Koscielny dropping it. But then I suddenly thought, oh, they're going to clear this. And then as I looked to my left and there's Martins, I'm like, oh my God. And he stuck it in. And and again, I just went like completely, like almost dropped to my knees in shock. And there's this bloke who just comes flying over the top of us. So I'm celebrating. He goes crashing through all the seats, nearly hitting me on the back of the head. I'm like, this is mental. And then when the final whistle went, again, I nearly dropped to my knees in just shock. But then obviously all the tears start flooding out and the realization we've won a cup. What is going on? We don't win cups. This is mental. Oh man, honestly, it was absolutely insane.
But the best thing about that goal with Martins was the fact that I think every Blues fan in that stadium went silent, looked at the liner as if saying, "You're gonna fucking disallow this. Like, there's got to be a reason you're gonna mug us up here." Then when it realised, no, it stands. Oh my God! Like, and everyone
it was the 3 steps. It was like offside, no, goal. Honestly, yeah, it was incredible. It still is the best moment of my life. Absolutely.
My favourite memory of that game was the goal, followed by Cameron Jerome running 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper at 2-1 up in the 90th minute, and every Blues fan just going, "The fucking corner!" And he just looks up and does it. He just runs to the corner.
He was wicked in those last few minutes. He was brilliant. And then Seb Larson just crosses it for no reason. Oh, I'm getting frustrated with things there.
We won.
Yeah, we won. Fuck it. Yeah, I'll show. I think my first Blues game was Boxing Day 2006, which was against QPR. And we won 2-1, but I went home at halftime because I couldn't stand the noise.
You know what? I was gonna say, my brother don't listen to these, it don't matter. When we went to the Birmingham Man United game, because I remember obviously Bowyer got that 90th minute goal. Everyone was going mad. He was in floods of tears. The noise was just too much for him. And I remember that well. But I guess it can be a scary place for a 4, 5, 6-year-old. I mean, I was talking about this with my mates the other day, though. That first time you walk into a football ground when you're a kid, because the reason this conversation came up with my mates is because I was at the I can't remember, Forest Derby game, last week at Forest, and just seeing there was like a group of like 5, 6-year-olds, maybe like it seemed like a party thing, and like they walked in, you just saw all their faces light up, and I just thought that's so lovely. Like the first time you have that as a kid, it's amazing, isn't it? Amazing. Even to be fair, even now walking into grounds or like new grounds in particular, I'm like, this is quite cool, isn't it? It's such a good feeling.
What's the worst ground you've ever been to? I already know mine off the top of my head.
Worst ground?
Peterborough.
Really?
Oh.
I quite like Peterborough's ground.
We won 2-0 that day. Ziggett scored for us away. I just remember Peterborough being a bit shoddy. No. I've done Hereford away for a friendly.
Really? What was that like?
Fucking bedlam. Because I didn't let some of the Blues fans in. I think Blues fans are going on the roof, and it was just absolute. It was just chaos. I was like, oh my God, what's going on?
Funnily enough, I was literally about to say I went to see Hereford versus Kidderminster last season, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the Hereford ground. It's not awful, but it's not the best ground in the world, to be fair.
I don't think any of those could beat Luton.
I heard Luton's terrible.
It is.
I know, horrific. But there's something quite. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've never been Luton away. But is there not something quite cool about it? Like just
not
the way
for me,
it's so compact and like going through a garden to get to the away end. I've said to my dad, if there's one away day I'd love to do it, be Luton.
I mean, that is okay. It's sort of okay, but it's The frustrating thing about that was it wasn't. I liked the idea and the uniqueness of the ground, but standing there was horrific because it was like, you know, when you have small steps that you're walking down to walk down to the seats. Well, there was a step, but it was actually on the row, so you had to sort of stand on half a step throughout the whole game, and it was like that. So my foot was like there, and then like there's half a step. So I'm sort of my toes are on the bottom step and my heels are on the top step, and I'm sort of weighing back and forward, and it's really close and it's really dark, and I'm just like, it was in the middle of summer as well, so I was getting a banging headache, I tell you. I was just stood there, just like, oh, I've got to keep on filming somehow. Just
I think they're getting a new ground. I think Luton. Don't know when, because it's been talked about for ages. I don't know how far down the line it is, but they are getting a new stadium. So
hopefully we'll be getting a. Well, no, I'll rephrase that because that will come across wrong. Actually,
we can barely fix our own stadium at the moment. We ain't getting anything new anytime soon.
What I was gonna say is that hopefully we get a new stadium, meaning it'll feel like a new stadium once everybody's back. I don't want to move, not yet at least. That's for sure. Because I don't want to go into bankruptcy again.
I don't think I'd ever want a new stadium ever.
Really?
I'd maybe like some adjustments to maybe make it bigger or whatever, but I'd never want.
I'd only be open to the fact if I was in charge of it, because I'd keep it looking like our ground, not making it into a bowl-shaped stadium like West Ham, Spurs, Arsenal, Olympique Marseille. Every single fucking team that seems to be in the world right now has a bowl-shaped stadium. I'd keep it the same looking one. I'd put it in an area that is known for having Blues fans, like Solihull or somewhere there. And put it in Solihull as well would have like access to the airport as well, which would be quite interesting to have that. And then the motorway is right next to it. I have definitely thought about this before with family members and talking about it. So it's not like it's just coming to me now. It's like, maybe
he's thought this through before.
Yeah,
off the cuff.
I quite like it in Small Heath personally.
It's definitely because when I went to Millwall last season, the intimidation I felt of that was like extraordinary. Everybody, and I mean literally everybody, when we're coming through on the coaches, is looking at us on the bus, and it's like stern face. There's loads of like, it's like car mending places behind it, engineering and everything, and it's like proper working class. It's like, fucking hell, you're in for it here. And I feel like you get a bit that with Small Heath as well, because there was a couple of Burnley fans walking out from the game last night who I could immediately see as they got their Burnley shirts underneath their coats, just zipping it up immediately, just like, come on, lad, we're not going to get in trouble here.
I think if we were ever to move, that would be a good location. But I think in terms of a new ground, I love our ground. I'd hardly change a thing about it. Well, obviously the bottom tiers of the Cop and Tilton would be nice if they were functioning, but you know what I mean.
No, just fix them.
I know.
Fix them. God's sake, it's been so long.
This is the thing. We never seem to have any real updates of like you normally you see like pictures of these things being done. When was the last picture we saw of like workers actually on the stands? 6 months, maybe 7-8 months ago.
Sometime like that. It's been ages, absolutely ages. And it's starting to annoy me a little bit because I'm starting to remember all the things that was promised about it at the start of last season. It says it will be done like in the next few weeks. It's just like a technical issue that we need to get round. Here we are, how many months later, and we've fucking still not got it open. They're still giving us sort of false promises as well. I'm interested to see how this Christmas period is going to play out. And if it is open to the start of next season, because it better be. All right, so I'm sick and tired.
Really better be. I agree. I know. It's been ridiculous, hasn't it? At least we're not complaining about the team, though. At least at the moment, as a Blues fan, we don't have much to complain about. So at least we're not complaining about the team for once in our lives. So
bring on 2023, we'll be moaning about it all.
Apart the EFL dragging their feet with this flipping takeover.
Yeah, it's been weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's like a lot of things with the Blues. It's just get on with it, for God's sake.
I know. Everything seems to take so long.
The quicker that goes through, the quicker you get Bielik's signature.
Yeah, 100%. I believe that. Yeah.
Very true. Very true. joke, wouldn't it? Be
Get
a
Bob the
joke.
Builder on them.
Yeah, it'll sort them out. It'll fix them.
Scoop, looking dizzy. Oh, sorry, I'm getting distracted.
Oh dear.
This podcast has gone to shit, honestly.
It's been a trip down memory lane,
hasn't it?
We started talking about like a great game we had last night against Burnley, and then talking about Blackburn. We've had to make a new meeting because we haven't got the right Zoom license, and now we're talking about Bob the fucking Builder.
Yeah, no one's listening.
You two
anymore.
are talking about Bob the fucking Builder.
Oh dear.
This podcast needs to end. I've gone mad, to be honest. I'm mad with the idea that we could finish 12th. How absolutely depressing is that thought, honestly? We've gone from... Yeah, thank you very much for watching, Jamie and Zach. Thank you very much, boys, for joining me this evening. It's been good. It's been a roller coaster, that's for sure. And,
enjoyable.
Yeah,
fun. It's been fun.
Yeah, keep right on.
Keep right on.